The unprecedented pace of disruption and uncertainty makes leadership more relevant today than ever before. It is not position or power, but your leadership skills that help you to think in unique, creative ways. When faced with a crisis, a leader is forced to think and make critical decisions. A leader who empowers a team and gives the employees accountability increases the effectiveness of an organization. John Maxwell says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Warren Bennis says leadership is the capacity to turn vision into reality. And Bill Gates says, as we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. Today, I have the honor of welcoming Sam Silverstein. Global Gurus recently announced Sam Silverstein as one of the world's top 30 organizational culture professionals. The author of 10 books, including No More Excuses, I Am Accountable, No Matter What, Non-Negotiable, Making Accountable Decisions, and the Success Model, keynote speaker Sam Silverstein is the founder of the Accountability Movement, an organization focused on building powerful communities filled with like-minded people who know and live their values and honor their commitments. To that end, Sam hosts accountability roundtables to address and break through the barriers that restrict organizations and communities from living an accountable culture. Originally from Atlanta, Sam has a bachelor's degree in business from the University of Georgia and an MBA from Washington University. He's a past president of the National Speakers Association. Sam is married with 4 children and resides in St. Louis, Missouri. As a keynote speaker, Sam challenges audiences to discover and reach their best selves. He helps leaders build accountability throughout the organization. Sam works with entrepreneurs, multinational companies, corporations, and government agencies to drive increased engagement and productivity. Welcome to this talk, Sam.
Well, thank you.
I'd like to begin by asking you, what do you think are 3 traits that a leader should have to thrive in a disruptive economy?
You know, we're in a disruptive economy right now, obviously with the pandemic going on that affects the economy, it affects society, it affects all sorts of things. 3 traits a leader needs to have. Number 1, I'm always going to go to accountability. The accountable leader is going to be the strongest leader, the most effective leader. Accountability is the highest form of leadership. So a leader today needs to understand that accountability starts with them. It's not about holding people be accountable. It's about helping people be accountable. The second, and these are all going to fall under how we define and help organizations build accountable leaders. A leader needs to have empathy for their people. One of my clients that we advise said, "No worries, Sam, it's business as usual. We're just going to work from home." And I said, "Well, you're half right. You're going to work from home, but it's not business as usual, because as soon as we go home, it's not that your workers are going home. Their spouses may be home. Their children are home. They could have another generation in their home. It becomes a very challenging situation, and one that takes empathy by leaders to understand that there's more on that plate of that individual than just getting that job done. So they need to be accountable. They need to have empathy. And they need to, maybe more than ever, understand what their purpose is as an organization so that they can make sure they're connecting to that purpose, because it's all about people in difficult times, and you need to be connecting to the purpose. You need to be connecting your people to the purpose. And so it's going to need to have a well-groundedness to that leader, understanding why that organization is really there, not only to help drive her or him to make the best decisions possible, but to also provide something that inspires the people to want to be attached to that organization and working at their highest capacity.
Three interesting points you brought out: accountability, empathy, and purpose. Now, coming to this crisis, how does a leader respond in times of a crisis? What are some of the steps that he can take?
Well, first of all, it's critical that we have control over our thought flow and our thought process. Where I see a lot of individuals go wrong, leaders included, is that they focus on the things they cannot control rather than focusing on the things they can control. When you focus on what you cannot control, then what happens is A, you make excuses. B, you bring fear into your life, and C, you bog yourself down. It literally stops you. It's critical that we're focused on what we can control so that we can make decisions and move forward. When we identify those things that we can control, then we make decisions in those areas, we implement, and we move forward. And while this applies at all times, this certainly applies when we're facing very, very difficult times as we are right now.
Coming to a leader and his or her team, how does a leader keep the team motivated and connected? And what can you do to support them during such times?
Well, here's the thing. This process starts when you're not in difficult times. And this is what being an accountable leader is all about. Many times leaders think that accountability is something that you manipulate your people to try and do more. That's not what accountability is. Accountability is creating an environment that inspires your people to want to be their best and prioritizes accountability. Accountability is not a way of doing, it's a way of thinking, and it's how we think about people, which means accountability is built on top of relationships. So these relationships need to be an ongoing effort long before these difficult times come. What I see, especially with the clients that we work with, is even in these times, they're able to thrive because what they've done in advance is they have laid the foundation of building relationships with their people. And these strong relationships create an environment where their people want their leader to do well. They want the organization to do well. They do not want to let their leader down. And they feel that way because they already know that the leader does not want to let them down.
If you look back at your career, what do you think is one big challenge that you have faced?
Wow, a big challenge that I faced. Well, I faced a lot of challenges. And when by challenges, I've had a lot of limiting beliefs over the years that I had to move beyond. I think one of the greatest challenges is understanding that what I produce is a result of what I believe, and that our beliefs drive our actions. And so if you believe you should treat people a certain way, then you will act a certain way. And if you believe you should have an open mind in certain areas, then you'll have an open mind. Or if you believe the opposite, then you're going to go in a different direction. And I never really realized early on that everything that I achieved, or everything that I experienced, whether it was positive or negative, it was a result of a belief of mine, my way of thinking. And that if I wasn't getting the results that I wanted to get, I should not be focused on changing what I was doing. I needed to change what I was thinking. And that was a powerful concept that once I understood that and I discovered how to implement that, and that's something I like to work with leaders and help them discover that, it just exploded. Things started happening at a much more rapid pace because all of a sudden I took control, because I took control of my thought process first, and then the actions followed.
Today we are speaking on Zoom. We have Skype, Google Meet, Slack, WhatsApp, and whatever. So the world is moving from a co-located place, face-to-face setting, to a virtual workplace. So how does a leader lead effectively in such a virtual workplace?
So, this is a great question. And I can't begin to tell you how often I'm asked this same question. And the reality is everything has changed. Nothing has changed. People are still people. We still need to connect with people. We need to. Accountability is defined by 10 relational commitments. Accountability is keeping your commitments to people. And I'm not referring to tactical commitments, I'm referring to relational commitments. And there's a whole 2-hour discussion there that we can do another time. But in keeping these relational commitments to people and supporting them and letting them know that you have their back, that you're there for them, that they're not there for you. Big difference. This is something that as leaders, we just have to be more creative. How do we create that relationship? The same concept is still in play. It's just that the tactics change. And the burden is, the responsibility is on us as leaders to come up with answers for that. And you can't just stick your head into Sue's or George's office and pat them on the back and say, great job. But you know what? You can drive by their home and bring them down to the street and at a safe distance from your car, if that's what it takes. Roll down the window and say, hey, I just wanted to drive over here and let you know how important you are to the organization and how much I appreciate you. Oh my gosh, that is incredible. That is a great way of contributing to that relationship. Does it take a bunch of time? You bet. Do some leaders say, well, I don't have time for that? Sure they do. Those are the leaders that aren't building those meaningful relationships. Those are the leaders that are not inspiring accountability in their organization. And those are the leaders that just don't get it. They don't understand what they don't understand. That's okay. But the other leaders that are taking on additional responsibility, and probably what they're doing is, and what we advise is, you find the things that you're involved in that you can offload and delegate to someone else so that it frees up more time for you to focus on your people. That's what leaders need to be doing.
At the beginning of this year, many companies were taken by surprise when this COVID-19 pandemic struck. So how do you actually preempt such a risk and factor it into your risk management plans?
Well, let's be honest here. If in November of 2019, we had sat down and you'd said, Sam, I want to tell you what it's going to be like in March of 2020 or April of 2020, and you would have told me this story, I would have looked at you like, you're out of your mind. You know, this is crazy. This is insane. Nothing like this has ever happened in our lifetime. I don't believe that we can plan for every eventuality, but just like the old rainy day is going to come. We know that. So what does that mean? That means we save some money. We need to have some money in the bank. We need to have some reserves. Well, a business need to have reserves also. We can't be just living on the edge and spending everything that we take in. But we also need to deposit into our relationship bank account. We need to make deposits in that through our people, with our suppliers, with our customers. All of that has to build up when times are good. How you build your organization when times are good determines how you operate when times are tough. The organization that tries to change what they're doing in the tough times to survive, they may make it, they may not. It's the organizations that figure it out when times are good that are working on their organization, not just trying to sell more, service more, generate more revenue, but create a better organization by creating better people. Those are the organizations that'll thrive when times are tough. And so while we cannot plan for every eventuality, the best type of planning is growing into being an accountable leader, creating a culture in your organization that prioritizes accountability, and laying the foundation of relationships, because that's what you're going to rely on when times get tough.
Coming to the future of project management, what do you think is the future for project managers or leaders?
Well, obviously we're in a virtual world now. I don't know that ever changes completely. Even when we get beyond COVID-19, there's still a percentage of our world that'll be virtual that wasn't before. I think good project management remains the same. It remains someone who understands that a leader is not there so that other people can serve them. A leader is there to serve other people. A leader's responsibility is to ensure the success of the people they lead. A leader is first and foremost responsible for the people they lead. If you're managing a project, your responsibility is the people, not the project. Your responsibility is the people. And when you turn your focus on the people and make sure that they're equipped, that they have the resources, that they have what they need to be successful, and let them focus on the project, then what happens is you create a different scenario than what many understand, but the results will be phenomenal.
Which brings me to my final question. Do you have any words of advice for the youngsters, the millennials who take up positions of leadership and project managers?
Well, you lead people, you manage things. And so project management, a project is a thing. And so I understand that that needs to be managed, but that project is achieved with and through people, which means if you're dealing with people, it comes down to leadership. The highest form of leadership is accountability. Accountability is keeping your commitments to people. There's two types of commitments. There's tactical commitments. Tactical commitments are things that you speak about. I'll be there at 10. I'll have the report done by noon tomorrow. These are tactical commitments. Relational commitments are commitments that many times you don't even need to say, but they need to be in play. Like, I'm going to live the values. I'm committed to truth. I'm committed to be there when all hell breaks loose. I'm committed to it's all of us, which means if you fail, I fail. If you succeed, I succeed. And when up and coming project managers understand accountability in that way and lead their people through empathy, through heart, through caring for the people, by growing to be accountable leaders, then what happens is they will create teams on the project and teams in the broader organization that will lead to a phenomenal level of success. And they'll not just grow their career, but more importantly, along the way, they'll be growing the careers of everyone around them. And in doing so, their career and their life will attain a level of success they never imagined.
Thank you so much for offering your insights on all those questions that I posed to you, Sam. It was a pleasure listening to you. And I'm sure those listening to this broadcast will also learn a lot. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate that. It's certainly my honor. And if you want more information, you can find a lot of it readily available at IamAccountable.com.
Thank you.